Vanessa, it's really exciting to talk to you this morning. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm Mexican. I was born in the north of Mexico in the province in Juarez, a town that suffered a lot in the sort of early 90s because of the narco problem. So I was sent away to boarding school in Europe, which was a bit too far from home. I was about 16 and a little bit uncertain, but luck favors the brave. And I immersed myself in what was school. I was exposed to girls from all over the world. I made some of the most amazing friendships that I ever, that I still have. A lot of them I still have, and we're all very close. So I come from a small provincial city in the north of Mexico, but I consider myself to be a citizen of the world. Circumstantially, I became one, but it's something that if you ask me where I'm from, I say I'm Mexican, but I'm not necessarily sure I feel 100% Mexican. I feel human.
I love that, Vanessa. I think we all have to, that's is exactly the notion for the future, because people don't identify just to their geographical place. It's really a state of spirit and mind. And
Yeah.
Vanessa, what do you do? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I'm now the chief strategy officer at a company called BuffaloGrid. And what we do is we connect the unconnected. The company has developed a hardware. So it's a little hub that looks a bit like a PlayStation. It weighs 2 kilos. It connects to the cloud and it works off of an app. It's powered by solar panels and it charges mobile phones for people that live in off the grid, that don't have access to power, or to underserved communities. But it also provides content. So that has content that is constantly updating using the cloud, from entertainment and sport, but we focus on education and health. So we work with some of the most vulnerable people in the world. We focus on refugee camps. We're doing launches in Uganda and in Kenya later this year in three refugee camps, actually, two in Uganda and one in Kenya. We're looking at the situation in the north of Mozambique to support the internally displaced people because of the insurgency in the north of the country. And when you think about it, these are people that have absolutely no access to education. Kids have gone over a year without an education in a lot of parts of the world because of COVID. And this simple hub can actually solve that problem by bringing access that is free, because people don't have to pay for data when they connect to the hub, or they can download the content. We're also taking this technology and the system to Bangladesh later this year and to Nigeria in a different type of deployment, more of a commercial one. And, I mean, what do? I coordinate. So I'm as chief strategy officer, I'm doing the partnership strategy, the business development strategy. I joined the company last July, but I had been involved with them since 2012 because I was the first and second angel investor in the company that started at the Royal College of Art in London. So I've seen the journey they've gone through, and it's been amazing to join them now that everything is pivoting into, the fully researched and developed hub. It's built purposely for rugged and rough places. So it's weatherproof, waterproof. You can't scuba dive with it, but it's definitely waterproof. Insects can't get in it if they're in the desert, or they're very portable. So they're designed purposely for this, and it can actually solve one of the greatest problems and support sustainable development for people that are considered the base of the economic pyramid.
God, it sounds revolutionary and super exciting, Vanessa.
It is.
Buffalo Grid, everyone has to look that up. Vanessa, tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get to where you are right now?
I think I got to where I am now because I'm incredibly curious. And I would also say a bit shameless. I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to share my opinion. I think that's a very important trait. How did I get here? After boarding school, I went to university in the US. I went to Babson College. I graduated with a bachelor in business administration. I then went on to New York. I chose the wrong career initially, which was I wanted to work in fashion, as most girls do after they go to university. It didn't last very long. And then I found a job with an extraordinary entrepreneur. And I think that was the beginning of my journey. Joanne Dressendorfer, who had founded a small media company for her only client, AT&T, about 8 years before I joined her in 97. She set up this small company that when I joined had its own building, about 110 employees, and they were the first company to bring digital marketing from business to customer, so on emails at the time for AT&T Solutions and Michelin Tires. And I worked directly with her. So from the very beginning, I was exposed to the CEOs of the companies or the VPs of companies, and she taught me how not to be afraid. Because she would say she came from nothing. Her parents were German Shepherd breeders, and she worked her ass off. She created her company, and she always told me never to be afraid. It doesn't matter who you talk to, everybody's a person. And I would believe that's the beginning of my journey. From then on, I moved to Spain. I was in Madrid. I did a project for an organization that took 2 years to put together that was incredibly successful, of Mexico. We saw about 9,000 people a day between two venues, and it was Mexican heritage and culture. So we had a small market in the train station of Attachée. In Bellas Artes, we had an art exhibition, and in La Casa de America, a whole program of academic talks and workshops and things like that. And as a result of that, somebody who I had asked for, this is the best story. I went to somebody for sponsorship and he said no. He completely blew me off. And I said, okay, thank you so much, Pepe. I'll be back in a year to invite you to the event. I secured the sponsorship in another place, and I went and I had delivered an invitation to his office a year later. And he showed up to the opening and he said to me, I like the way you work. Come and see me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I said, you know, I opened the market at 10. And he said, I know. So we set up the market the whole night. My parents have always been incredibly supportive. They were there the whole night with my sister, and we were hanging everything in the market outside the train station. And at 9 in the morning, I was at this man's office. And he said the same. He said, I like the way you work. I have a museum outside of Madrid and a gallery space downstairs, right in the heart of Madrid. He goes, I want you to run it for me. I said, okay, great. I'll take the job. Thank you so much. I have to go open a market. I'll be back in a week. And that's how I stayed in Madrid. And I never looked back. He then recommended me to do a job for the state of Veracruz, for the governor Miguel Alemán. And I did that for a year. And that's when I started dreaming about being a cultural attaché. And then after a while, a year and a bit of that, I met my ex-husband. I moved to England. I had my beautiful children. And then after my divorce, that I moved to London, kind of heartbroken and not really knowing what was going to happen. And I didn't know many people. I was actually hired as the cultural attaché of Mexico in the UK within a month of moving to London.
I love
this is why, never be afraid to ask, never be afraid to have a conversation, and never doubt, because you can make your own future. You can make things happen. I always think that the delay of making things happen is getting shorter. Oh, look, my cat's trying to come in to talk to you guys too. The time is getting shorter, but when you think and you visualize and you work at it, you can manifest it. So then I was cultural attaché. During that time, I started investing in tech startups. When I finished my role as cultural attaché, I became a tech entrepreneur myself, worked with 38 psychologists around the world, organized focus groups with young people. That project was incredible. Taboos Up. I even got to do a TED Talk about it in Morocco. But sadly, COVID killed our financing. So, quite heartbroken and devastated. I had to make it dormant. One day, I hope to pick it up again. And 24 hours later, Daniel, the founder and CEO of BuffaloGrid, called me and said, we're looking for someone with your qualifications for Chief Strategy Officer. Who would you recommend? And I said, me. And that's how we started working. I mean, life is like that. It's a journey of opportunities. And if you're open at seeing them and you're not afraid to just take a chance, at least to explore any opportunity or possibility, because you have to be careful, amazing things happen.
Amazing, amazing. What a journey, Vanessa. I can't believe how many different things you've done. I love that. And I think that is a very female thing. Women are good at different roles, doing a lot of different things, then learning what they like, what they don't like. And I think then really, when you're a bit sort of middle-aged, which is what we are now, you really are powerful and you really take off. Steep. That's so interesting, Vanessa. Thank you for sharing that. What motivates you to keep hustling every day?
So there's a couple of things, actually having an impact or imagining something and knowing you can make it tangible, you can make it exist is one of those things. So even just having conversations about the refugee camps, and we started 3 months ago. We're deploying the hubs later this year. It's that vision and being able to connect all of the dots in my head to make it a reality is one of the main things that motivate me. The other thing is being told no. If somebody says no to me, in my head I say, watch me. And that truly is one of the main motivators in me. If it's not like a life risk, like jumping off a building without a parachute or something stupid, or skydiving without a parachute. When people say no, but when it's something that you can do, and potentially people don't necessarily understand what it is that you're envisioning or that you're thinking, being told no is one of my greatest motivators. Because then I'll just say, watch me, like that gentleman that I said, okay, I'll be back in a year to invite you. And the result of that was that I ended up working with him for 3 years. And I learned an extraordinary amount. The other thing is curiosity. I love to learn. I love to learn about people, their situations, and being able to wake up and every few days speak to from CEOs of nonprofits or CEOs of companies to people who are extraordinary in refugee camps, who are every day changing the lives of 1, 10, hundreds or thousands of people, because it keeps you humble and it allows you to be more grateful for what you have. And I think that's the other thing that keeps me going. So there's different motivators.
I think you've almost answered my next questions, which is, what are your superpowers? What makes you so great at what you're doing now? And I think you've really answered that already. Is there any other superpower you want to add?
I think I have a gift at feeling people. I somehow can connect with people in a way that is I don't know. I think I have something like a level of empathy that allows me to connect with people, even that if I'm not with them. I can read certain things that are not evident, and I think that helps me a lot in the negotiations. But I think curiosity is my main one. Shamelessness also.
I love that. Vanessa, tell us what would your top tips be for other women?
Don't be afraid. And also, don't be afraid to ask for help. That's a really important one, because we're taught, or we live in a world where, you have to be super strong and you don't need anybody. No, we all need one another. There's strength in numbers. And the one thing, this was the best advice my first boss after my divorce gave me, the ambassador. He walked into my office. I think this is the best one. He walked into my office and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "But I started today." And he goes, "No, what are you doing here?" I said, "Eduardo, I started today, Mr. Ambassador." And he goes, "No, what are you doing here?" I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "You're no good to me here. Go out, grow, learn, connect with people, make things happen, because the more you grow, the more we grow." So not to be afraid to engage with others and ask for help and connect with others, because that's the only way we can be effective ourselves and support others to be effective. Change is collective. I mean, one person will start it, but change is collective. So I think that's super important to keep in mind.
What an amazing advice to get. Vanessa, my last question. Where do you see yourself in the future? What is your dream that you achieve?
Where do I see myself? This is a really tough question. Um, and one I've been thinking a lot about. It's funny you're asking it today because I was thinking about doing a professional vision board. You know, like you do a personal vision board, a professional vision board that allows you to have a goal down the line that you can work to backwards. Definitely one of them, without a doubt, is making sure, working with BuffaloGrid and making sure that it becomes a global solution. That is without a doubt one of my goals in life at the moment. And another one is to find calm personally. So then I'm more productive, more effective, and I can do more. But to really have an impact and make a difference and have the data to prove that something so affordable, so simple can change the lives of so many people. So as opposed to, huge infrastructure projects and things like that, just something, changing the world by keeping things simple and effective is what I would love to be able to do in a few years' time.
So inspiring, Vanessa. Thank you so much for chatting today.
Thank you. No, it's a pleasure. And congratulations for the project. It's beautiful.
Thank you.